working for you. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Roy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for you is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for you.
A pleasant good afternoon and welcome to Working for You. I am Roy Williams. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's program. We appreciate your company very much. Today we are going to be discussing something very important to two countries that have had a long beneficial relationship. We are going to be discussing the bilateral cooperation between the Republic of China, Taiwan, and the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. They established diplomatic ties all the way back in 1983. The year that we gained our independence here in St. Kitts and Nevis, going back some 35 years ago. And I have no other than the resident ambassador of the Republic of China, Taiwan, to St. Kitts and Nevis, His Excellency Tom Lee. Your Excellency, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And welcome to this program.
Thank you very much for having me.
And then I have the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Mr. William Vincent Austin Hodge. I like to call all of his name. Mr. Hodge, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Williams. It's my delight to be here. I have been on, I think, at least 2 or 3 of your programs
you have been
before, and so it's another opportunity to talk about our partnership with the Taiwanese government, and so I look forward to the program.
Right. Now we will jump right in. Ambassador Lee, you are the new resident ambassador
Yes.
of the Republic of China, Taiwan, to St. Kitts and Nevis. We have ambassadors that come, and we have ambassadors that go. And sometimes the people don't really get to know who the ambassador is. They know that the ambassador fulfills a very important function. That of, they see him sometimes at ceremonies, they see him handing over a check to the Prime Minister for some sort of work to be undertaken here in St. Kitts and Nevis. But sometimes they don't get that up personal and close to the ambassador. So I want you to give us a little background about you and your diplomatic career.
Sure. My name is Tom Ji-Chang Lee. I'm the Taiwanese ambassador to St. Kitts and Nevis. And I assumed my position as ambassador last year in August. And I have been here for about more than 6 months. And I was born and grew up and raised in Taiwan. I received education in Taiwan, including my bachelor degree and a master degree. I joined the Foreign Service in 1994. In 1994, after I finished my military service in Taiwan, it was compulsory for 2 years, and I joined in 1994, and so it had been about 25 years. And during that period of time, I have been posted to USA, Liberia, West Africa, and then Gambia, West Africa again, and then Canada, and then St. Kitts and Nevis. So in total, I have spent about 9.5 years in West Africa. And this is my first time to come to Caribbean to serve, and I'm very happy to have this opportunity.
Well, you certainly would have found that West Africa and here probably there are some similarities in terms of the climate. It's hot and so on. So the adjustment was not too difficult for you.
Actually, the climates are not the same because in West Africa they have only 2 seasons, dry season and the rainy season.
Here too.
Really?
Yes.
So we are in dry season or rainy season now?
Right now, I would say the rainy season begins in June.
But what happened last night? It rained so hard. So we are in dry season.
We're basically in the dry season. The rainy season is that period from June to November. I think that's the time when we have the hurricane period.
Oh, okay.
That's the time of the cyclones.
I see.
Hmm. Then we will get more rain because, of course, there's more activity. In terms of what do you call it now? There's a name for it, but I'll get to it. So we get more rain during that time.
I see.
Hmm.
Yep.
Right. So that's why I say, the change from West Africa to the Caribbean must not have been that difficult in terms of the climate.
Actually, I find it's very easy for me to adjust because my last posting actually was in Vancouver, Canada. And then in winter time it is very cold in Vancouver.
Right.
So I really enjoy the winter here, even though I see a lot of people they're wearing their coats.
Here,
Yeah.
we have no winter here.
Yeah, I know. That's why I think it's actually very comfortable
Yes.
to spend winter time here.
Right.
That's why so many tourists in winter time they want to come to St. Kitts and Nevis
Mhm.
because they want to get out of the cold and enjoy the warm weather here.
Right. And so the word I was looking for is convectional.
Yeah.
We get some convectional rainfall. That is because during a particular period it's hotter, and so you have more evaporation taking place from the ocean and so on and so on, and that creates a lot
Okay.
of rainfall, and that is what causes the hurricanes as well. That period of hot weather. Now, Mr. Hodge, you don't have to acclimatize. Well, you lived in the US for a while, and I'm sure you had to, when you came back to St. Kitts, you had to do some adjusting again too. But could you give us a little background about yourself and your career in education?
I am a career educator, and I would like to add somewhat of an old-fashioned educator. I feel very proud of the grounding that I receive from the St. Kitts Nevis Teachers Training College. I felt that it was that institution that prepared me to teach. And as I reflect, as I often do, I think that I am a very seasoned classroom teacher, the place where I love to be. And within a short 13 years in the service, I was promoted to the rank of head teacher at the St. Paul's Primary School. I was there for 3 years, and until this day, I credit those 3 years at the St. Paul's Primary School to be my best 3 years as a teacher.
Right.
Having graduated from Teachers Training College and all of that, I did a first degree in educational management at Murray House College of Education, which is one of the schools of education, well, the School of Education in the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. So
Yes.
my first degree was in that country, the UK. And then on completion of that degree, I came back and was posted at Sandypon High School as principal. I made history by becoming the first past student of that institution to come back as a principal.
Yes.
I was principal number 6. I served there for 9 years, and then I did early retirement and migrated to the United States. I taught in the United States. I worked as a staff development teacher, staff development person in the Montgomery County public school system in Maryland in the United States. Then I did a lot of classroom teaching actually. I did that job for 3 years, and then I taught grade 6 language arts and reading, and for me that was an exciting time and exciting experience. While doing that, I pursued a master's degree in curriculum and instruction at George Mason University in Virginia. So even though I lived in Maryland, I did my studies at the campus in Virginia, because the two states are bordering, so it was just a matter of 20-25 minutes drive across the border. In 2016, I returned home to serve as the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education. It was a call that I didn't anticipate. I didn't have any immediate plans to come back and St. Kitts, but I was called to serve and I couldn't say no. I felt I would have been turning my back on my country. I'm delighted to be in this position. I continue to work very hard, and based on feedback from different quarters, different people, I feel that education has moved in the positive direction since assuming the position.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now you said something interesting, that you're an old-fashioned teacher. What does that mean?
I believe in good old discipline, because once we have the discipline right in a school, everything else is going to fall in place. It's like sometimes preachers would advocate that once you become a Christian, you make a commitment to Christ, everything else is going to fall into place. So I find that we need, in modernizing some aspects of the education system, in throwing out the bathwater, we throw the baby with it. For me, I still believe that using the strap to help with the discipline process is needed in our schools. I am one of those subscribers to it, because it is something that worked for a lot of us, that helped to bring us in line with good conduct, good behavior. And for those of us who were bright and lazy, it made us pull up our socks.
Yes, but what worked then might not work now. And education, we know, evolves.
Yes.
And and as you correctly said, there are new methods and new ways of doing things. There are new ways of disciplining people, and there's all kinds of theories and so now that rule out that sort of what kind of corporal punishment in schools and all of that sort of a thing. Sometimes
is it allowed?
To some extent, very limited extent. I still believe in it. I believe in having meaningful morning devotions. That's what we call assembly in schools. It sets the tone for the day. It's a constant reminder of children, when principals have the opportunity, principals and other teachers, to remind children about what is expected of them, their behavior. Mm-hmm. It gives some Bible teaching for the vast number of children who are not going to Sunday school.
Yeah, I don't think the bone of contention is that of discipline, but rather how it must be carried out.
Yes.
The method in which it must be done.
Yes.
And some of the things that you mentioned are so correct. Now we'll move on. Your Excellency.
Yes.
You represent
Taiwan.
The island of Taiwan. It's an island. I've been there twice. The relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis has been an extremely long and mutually beneficial one. Could you give us an account of this?
I think as we all know, the relationship was established in 1983. And Taiwan actually was the first country that recognized St. Kitts and Nevis. And both countries have enjoyed very cordial relationship since 1993. And 1983. And as an old saying goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. And in terms of Taiwan's international participation, St. Kitts and Nevis never shies away and always rendered her help to Taiwan. And if you look at the other hand, Taiwan, we are one of the major donors to St. Kitts and Nevis, and we participate almost in every field of your national development. So I would say St. Kitts and Nevis and Taiwan, we are not only good friends, we are also like brothers and sisters, and also the strong allies to each other.
What do you think have kept this relationship going for so many years? You know, relationship is something that, you know, sometimes can be very fickle. Relationships is something that can be very temporary. They come and they go. You have a marriage, you have a divorce, you have problems that crop up. What has kept this relationship so enduring for 35 years? In fact, this year will make 36 years.
Yes, I have been here for 6 months, and according to my observation, I think it's the two peoples. Of course, government and both government need to work very hard.
Yes.
And two peoples are very similar. St. Kitts and people from Kittitian, Nevisian, and the Taiwanese, we are very similar. We are always very gentle, and always very sincere, and also the very we always show hospitality to others. For example, you know, I have been here for 6 months, and you know where our embassy is located. We are in Taylor's Range. And every time if I drive my car, I want to exit the embassy. Sometimes I have to be careful because I have to look left, look right. And a lot of people, they pass by. When they see it, they always guide me. No. Wait. We are strangers. We don't know each other. And then if it's okay to pass, and then they say, okay, come. Turn right. So, which shows how nice your people are. And also, in the evening time, if I have time, I enjoy the walking and exercising. And down there, we don't know each other. Kittitians always greet me, like saying hello, saying good afternoon. And some people, they don't greet. I know they are not from St. Kitts and Nevis. So, generally speaking, I think our two peoples are kind of alike. That's why it creates a momentum to keep the relationships going.
The warmth and the friendliness of our people, that similarity. And of course, we are both from islands. It's just that your island is a bigger island than ours.
Ours is about 134 times bigger.
Yes. I understand
a little
that.
bit bigger.
And your population is what?
23 million.
23 million. And here it is, we have what? We just have a little over 50,000
yes.
and so on. So you can understand. But nonetheless, the similarities that you are making, the links between the people of Taiwan and the people of St. Kitts, and you know, that is what has kept the relationship so lasting over the years. It's really phenomenal.
People in Taiwan are also very warm. If you ask your students in Taiwan, they all enjoy our hospitality.
I've been there, so I know.
Okay, you have been there twice.
When you go there, you don't want to leave.
Okay.
And they feed you like anything. That's one of the good
Yes.
things too. Good. Now, what are some of the key areas in which the two countries have cooperated?
As I mentioned before, we have cooperation projects almost in every field. And in terms of our technical cooperation, before we told you how to grow the crops, so we had several we call demonstration farm, which told people how to grow their crops, fruits, and but as St. Kitts and Nevis, you develop rapidly, and we are in a digital age. So right now we are shifting our focus to the higher end and higher technology. Let me give you an example. For example, the military, the AG's office, we have a project. We are helping AG's office to digitalize all the land information. So now if people wanna procure a piece of land, you need to find the land's information. When was last time it was procured and for how much?
It's a digital archive.
And sometimes I know right now it takes probably a long time to find the information. So that's why right now we are helping to digitize all the land information, and we are also developing the necessary software right now. So I believe when the project is complete, probably it takes only seconds to find the land information. So that's what we are doing right now, because we are helping. We are changing our ways of doing things.
Yes, it will certainly help at the land registry.
Yes, and also in terms of agriculture, as I mentioned before, before we had demonstration farms, we told the farmers how to grow fruits, crops. But right now we have something different. 2 years ago, we just completed the survey. We surveyed all the farming lands in St. Kitts and in Nevis, and to find out where is suitable to grow what. It's on our website. So if farmers, for example, they live in let's say Sandy Point, they can find the map and find out in Sandy Point, because of the soil, so it's good for what kind of crops to grow. So we already complete that information.
Yes.
And right now we are working on something else. We have installed 4 weather stations to collect the agricultural related information, weather information. And also at the same time we are working on to develop crops, seeds and variety which can mitigate global warming. So for example, if we find out the weather information, there's a less rain, and then we can help develop those variety suitable for the less rain climate. So in agriculture, this is what we are doing right now. And in health, we know the chronic disease is getting more serious here. So that's why we are helping. We have a project we call the chronic kidney disease prevention and the cure too. So we are working on it right now. And of course, education, we have a lot of cooperations. But generally speaking, we consider human resources development is a must. And also, if you look at the map of Taiwan, St. Kitts and Nevis, like Leslie just mentioned, we are very similar. We are surrounded by island, by sea, and we don't have natural resources. It's like there are no other roads you can go. You can only go this road, and we have nothing.
Right.
If you want to develop, you have to rely on human resources.
Yes.
That's why we emphasize the importance of these projects. And also, you may be surprised, Taiwan is not big, but in Taiwan we have over 144 universities and colleges. 144. Can you imagine a small place like Taiwan, we have more than 100 universities, which can tell you we emphasize education a lot. And education is important because if students, they come from a poor background, their parents, they don't have money. But students, as long as they are willing to study hard and work hard, education is like their key to success. In the future, they may become somebody. I heard your prime minister, he also came from a poor family, and because of he studied hard and worked hard, today he is your prime minister. So that's why education is very, very important.
Yes, very important. You mentioned certain areas. Just let me summarize them. You spoke about information technology. Taiwan is a powerhouse in information technology in the world and in Asia, which is amazing. And agriculture, you have a very developed agricultural sector. And not only that, it speaks to the hard work of your people, and you can easily transfer your experience and your skills here, because the very same crops that you grow in Taiwan are the very same crops that are grown here as well and can be grown here. So, you know, that's one of the connections, of course, in terms of agriculture. In some countries, they are not tropical, or they don't have the climate, and so therefore the crops are different. But I mean, there are a lot of similarities in terms of the agricultural produce and so on here and over in Taiwan. And then you spoke about health, which is an area that I think we'll talk about in education. I think, you know, offering scholarships in health. And the most important thing, and the PS can speak about that of education. Education leads to social mobility, as you mentioned. You know, you climb the ladder, human resource development, and so on. Now, let me ask PS Hodge. The ambassador spoke about education. And he said that education is a critical field. And he gave his reason. What do you think have been some of the benefits of this partnership between Taiwan and St. Kitts and Nevis in the field of education?
The number of benefits are many. It's a lot, numerous. We, in St. Kitts and Nevis, we value education as well. And we all recognize that it is the way by which a lot of us who come from poor families have been able, as the phrase you use, and we use it to become somebody in society. I often say my mother was a cane reader. The young people today do not even have the concept of who a cane reader is. So that's the background from which I come. And it was education that enabled me to get to where I am today and to be able to make a contribution to give back to the younger people. But through a number of scholarship programs, the Taiwanese government has partnered with us in education. These scholarship programs are at various levels. For example, there's a scholarship program that is done every year where children from the secondary school and the college, tertiary level students receive a certain amount of money to help them to buy the necessities. The government provides textbook and examination fees and so on, but that's not all. They need uniform, they need clothing, they need food, and those vital things that are needed for school. So there's that scholarship. It's a bursary that is given to students that they can use in whichever way they like. For the tertiary level student, it in a few years back, it helped to pay some of their tuition for those who were at the CFBC College doing certain programs. And then, of course, we have the bigger scholarships, the 4-year scholarships, which Ambassador is going to talk some more about. But these are given to persons in various fields, not just education, but various fields of endeavor. And this is definitely helping to build our human resource capacity, because they are able to develop certain skills which, when they come back, and we encourage them to come back, they'll be able to put to use in the country. I heard Ambassador use a saying that is very well known here. You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, but when you teach him to fish, you're feeding him for a lifetime. I didn't know that.
Yes.
That was something that was said in Taiwan. Yeah, so that's our case, and that's what the degrees do. Those 4-year degrees, and in fact most time 5 years, because persons get the first year of learning the Mandarin. Like Mr. Williams, I had the opportunity to go to Taiwan with a delegation headed by Minister Richards, and I look forward to another trip. It is just an experience, and the work ethic of the people there is what stood out to me most. There was nothing that called free time or shopping on our agenda. We got in there early in the morning, about maybe 6 or so. We had to go to sleep, and we had an engagement by midday. And we were going every day around the clock. So the work ethic was something that stood out to me. And when we visited a lot of the educational institutions, a number of them being technical vocational schools, we saw that. In fact, at one of the institutions, they told us that work ethics is being taught. Is not just left to be caught.
It's actually taught.
It's taught. We are supposed to get a translated curriculum of what they teach in work ethics. So, those are some of the benefits, and the exposure to a different culture that is similar in so many ways, but just the exposure. I work very closely with Ambassador, of course, but the embassy person for education is First Secretary Daniel Koo, and a number of some of his disposition, his personality has rubbed off on me, the urgency of getting things done. So if I owe him something, if I'm supposed to get some information to him and I don't get it in time, he's calling me, he's coming to look for me, and that's the kind of thing that inspires me, to keep going. So those are some of the ways in which I think that we have benefited.
Right. Now, what are some of the scholarship, the type of Taiwan scholarships that are provided? What are the requirements and conditions for obtaining these scholarships? And some of the areas for study in Taiwan?
There are 2 different kinds of scholarship. First one we call the ICDF scholarship, and the second one we call MOFA scholarship. And if you ask me what's the major difference, actually is the language they use in class. ICDF one is all English class, so people from St. Kitts and Nevis, you don't have problem, because it's easy for you to connect, because they use English to teach, and you use English to take exams. And in terms of MOFA one, basically is all Mandarin class, and you have to take a 1 year to learn Mandarin first, and then you
can one learn Mandarin in 1 year? I always see these, what you call them, these characters like you're drawing and so on. It seems extremely difficult.
So it's difficult, especially for those who had never learned Chinese, of course they are going to have very tough first year, and probably second year too. And but after they finish, I was very surprised to see their accent, the way they speak Mandarin. It's just like a Taiwanese.
Wow.
So which means here people are very talented in languages, and those both scholarships are very flexible. If you graduate from high school, you can apply for universities. If you graduate from if you have a bachelor degree, you can apply for the master degree program, and then you are pursuing PhD. Just prove you have a master degree. So I would say our scholarships are very generous, and also the Taiwan is a very safe place. So student, if you go there to study, you don't have to worry about your safety. And in addition, and Taiwan, our university, the qualities are very good.
Right.
I'm very sure when they go to Taiwan to study, they will never regret.
Right. So you have a choice. You said that you have 144 universities and colleges. So therefore there's a wide range of universities and colleges to choose from. So students applying for your scholarships have a choice in terms of where they would like to be placed for study. And do you have certain areas of study that are done in particular universities across Taiwan?
We should look at it this way. As I mentioned, ICDF program is all English program. So those participating universities, the numbers are limited. Not all the 144 participate. And also some departments participate, but not every department. So I will recommend the students, if they are interested, they go to our website. There's a list of all the universities and the departments, so it will be easier for them to find. And about MOFA scholarship, first year, of course, all Mandarin.
Mm-hmm.
But second year, they can apply for which university they are interested in studying. And I think they can apply any out of 144.
Wow.
It depends on whether school is willing to take you.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you have to have, of course, the requirements.
Yes.
Just for any university, you must have the requirements to matriculate into that university.
I would say it depends on how the performance of students. If they have a very good grade, I think the chance will be higher. And if they have something outstanding, it will be easier for the school to take them.
Mm-hmm.
And after we receive all the applications, in Taiwan they are going to have a panel to go through all the applicants, not only from St. Kitts and Nevis, and also from other countries all over the world.
Yes.
So which means students from St. Kitts and Nevis, you not only compete with other students here. I would say it depends on how the performance of students. If they have a very good grade, I think the chance will be higher. And if they have something outstanding, it will be easier for the school to take them.
Mm-hmm.
And after we receive all the applications, in Taiwan they are going to have a panel to go through all the applicants, not only from St. Kitts and Nevis, and also from other countries all over the world.
Yes.
So which means students from St. Kitts and Nevis, you not only compete with other students here, but you are also going to compete with other students from other countries.
Now, applicants, Mr. Hodge, must go through the government.
Ministry of Education.
Of Education. I do know that in some scholarships, they don't go through the government. Some you apply directly online and so on. But in this case, you know, a number of scholarships, not just Taiwanese, go through the government.
Yeah.
So the government is the agency that does the selection.
That's not the case with the Taiwan scholarship.
I see. Okay.
That is very much correct in terms of other scholarships, but with the Taiwanese scholarships, we facilitate the process. One of our education officers, you know, is responsible. Over the past years, it was Miss Debbie Isaac who did a phenomenal job in processing these. She's now the Deputy Chief Education Officer, and so that responsibility has been passed to Mr. Roger Woodley, who is a new education officer, former principal from the World Child's High School. And so we facilitate the process, but that information is sent on to Taiwan to make the final selection. So that, in a way, is very transparent. It excludes any political interference, you know, from our government. So it is the Taiwanese that make the final selection based on the qualifications. That's very important. The
Based on merit.
and merit, the qualifications of these persons. In addition to those MOFA and the ICDF scholarships, the embassy has started some short-term courses. Just in October, November, we had about 6 persons going over to Taiwan. They came back in January, and the focus was hospitality. Now we understand that some of these courses are going to come on stream. So this is something very important for the public. We want the public to be aware, because once this comes on stream, we're going to be putting advertisement out there for persons to apply. We would have areas in hospitality again, as well as motor mechanic, engineering, and agriculture, and, you know, those technical vocational areas. So we're looking forward to that, and we want to be able to have a good number of persons from St. Kitts and Nevis benefiting from that. We're hoping to have some teacher exchange programs. When we visited, we had a conversation with the Minister of Education and the President. We have had one teacher who came over and taught physics and math at the Washington Archibald High School. So we're hoping to get more volunteers coming to work with us, as well as some of our teachers going over to Taiwan. So
Okay.
those are things that are in the pipeline.
Right. Now, is there a cap in terms of the number of scholarships that are provided annually?
There's no cap. Like I say, if more students apply and a lot of them are very good, the chance of getting the scholarship will be higher. Last year in total we had about 15 students. I know 5 from Nevis and 10 from St. Kitts. And those year before probably 13. So basically every year the number is different. I would say for the past 20 years, probably 200 students they receive our scholarship and been to Taiwan to study. And as about the PS just mentioned about our vocational training, this is something we are going to focus a lot this year, because not everybody is suitable to like an academy.
Yes.
You know, some they are not so good at study,
Sure.
and they are very good at like
Their
hobby,
hands
their
and
hands.
so on.
So that's why we consider vocational training is also important. And this year we are about to open 5 different classes in Taiwan to do vocational training, and we intend to invite about 30 people from St. Kitts and Nevis to Taiwan, and they are all in different fields. And I know one training class will be in Chinese cooking.
Yes.
So probably you can invite some chef
Yes,
from
absolutely.
here to learn.
That would be quite amazing. And we will see, because then you have a Kittitian or an Evision who is skilled in Chinese culinary arts, coming back here to St. Kitts and setting up their own Chinese restaurant. That would be something, because we cannot cook the Chinese way. And people here in St. Kitts and Nevis go to a lot of the Chinese and their restaurants, but you will have a Kittitian with a Chinese restaurant. It sounds very, it sounds like, it almost sounds like, it's ironic, but at the very same time, that will bring some competition.
Probably they're going to prepare some kind of food called fusion, mix of Chinese and the Kittitian.
Mix of Chinese and Kittitian as well.
Yeah.
That is rather interesting. Now, for students in Taiwan, in terms of their care, if they have any sort of problems, if they have any sort of issues and so on, that might be a concern for people who want to go to Taiwan. Apart from it being so far away, you're far from home, you're far from family, you're in a totally different culture and a totally different language. They want to be given some sort of a guarantee that, look, I will be taken care of, I will be provided for, I will be looked out for. And I do know that we have an embassy in Taiwan, the St. Kitts and Nevis Embassy, that is headed by Her Excellency Ambassador Jasmine Huggins. Right. So could you speak a little bit in terms of the relationship that students have to the embassy in Taiwan, in Taipei?
I would like to say something before Ambassador speaks, because I was there for a week, and just in that week we were able to meet a number of the students at 3 different institutions, and they are surrounded by very caring professors. You know, we just didn't meet with the students, we met with the professors and the head of the institutions, and those professors spoke very highly of the intellectual abilities of the student. They talk about how they are able to integrate into college life. A number of them hold leadership positions on campus, you know, and the students very comfortable. Actually, some of them don't want to come back. They're seeing how long they can extend their study to go on to the masters and program and so on. So they are surrounded by very, very good people who care for them. The ambassador is very well loved throughout Taiwan. Everybody said this is our favorite ambassador. She has very strong connection with the students. They meet for cultural events, especially around Independence time and so on. Just last year, through her instrumentality, we got the Fantastics from K-On, you know, to go to Taiwan, and it was through her instrumentality. So she knows the students very well, and she is in touch with them. So I think there's that sense of presence, you know, and you know, it might be far physically, but I was talking to people in my office when I was there for a week. I was sending messages, you know, via the WhatsApp and so on.
The world is a global village.
It is, you know. So, yes, Ambassador might want to add his 2 pence.
Sure.
Also, every university in Taiwan, they have an international office. This office, the mandate is to take care of international students. So usually, if, for example, a student from St. Kitts and Nevis, they run into some problems, they can go to that office, and usually the officer can provide the assistance.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And if something bigger, probably they have to go to their embassy.
Sure. We are going to go to the phone lines in a little while. You'll have to put your headphones on. But in terms of the scholarship, what does it provide?
I would say our scholarships are very generous. We provide not only the round-trip tickets, but we also provide the stipends, monthly stipends, and of course tuition. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of students,
full tuition, not
full tuition, and a lot of students in Taiwan, they can save some money actually, and then in summertime or in winter time, they come back to St. Kitts and Nevis to visit their parents.
Who pays for that?
They pay from the stipends they
From the
receive.
stipend.
Yes.
They're able to save enough
Yes.
Yes.
for a trip.
Yes.
Yes, that's good.
So, which tell you the basically, they can have a pretty good living in Taiwan.
So there's also money for tuition, which means buying books and so on.
Yes.
That's quite a very attractive. It's
That's
quite
why
attractive.
we encourage students apply for scholarship.
Yeah, later on we're going to talk in terms of application information so that students will know where to apply and how to apply, because that is very important. But we are going to go to the phone lines, and maybe this might be also a forum where people can ask questions in terms of the scholarship. So we are going to go to the phone lines now. The numbers to call, the phone lines are open. The local number is 465-2555. That's the local number. And the overseas number is 1-718-577-2916. We await your calls. Okay, there is no one on the line at the moment, so we'll continue our discussion. P.S. Hodge, how do you see this partnership in education? Now, you mentioned about the technical and vocational education and training, what we refer to as TVET, and the focus on a TVET education. Why do you think that this is so important to the landscape of St. Kitts and Nevis?
As we all know, the emphasis was on the academics, the pure academics, persons, passing subjects and going off to do a degree and so on. With our thrust in the tourism development to improve our tourism product, we have to have some of our citizens trained in these areas. And I don't want to say just those who might be less academic, but we want persons of all academic abilities to be involved in TVET training. And so the government has launched a TVET enhancement project with a loan grant from CDB. And this is giving us the opportunity to better train our TVET teachers. We are increasing or improving rehabilitating the spaces in schools where TVET classes are taught. So right now we are in the process of signing off on agreements with contractors to expand rooms in schools where home economics, woodwork, technical drawing, hospitality and so on are being taught. This is also giving us the opportunity to ensure that we have skills in motor mechanic, welding, and cosmetology, hospitality. All these things are being put forward as an alternative education to ensure that those persons who feel like they don't have the strong academic background to be able to achieve a certain degree of education. It's a form of education. We are working on developing our NVQs and the CVQs, because we have persons who come from other Caribbean territories with their certification in plumbing, in welding and so on, and they're able to get jobs because they bring that qualification with them. So we are saying that we want our persons, our people, to develop those skills, have the certification to be able to work here and to work in other places in the region. I might have said this on this program already. Somebody from Barbados was visiting to discuss our TVET program, and she said that in Barbados they have a slang: if you have a skill, you have a job. She was saying today in Barbados, if you call the doctor or a lawyer, the doctor, the lawyer would say, chances, come, I can see you. I can see you now, I can see you later today. When you call the plumber, and she specifically cited the plumber. She said, when you call the plumber, he's saying, I can see if I can fit you in 2 days.
It's in demand.
It's in demand. You know, and we want these skilled areas throughout the country, in our homes, in the workplaces, in the tourism sector. These skills are needed. These skills are the money-making jobs. And the young people got to get that in their head. They got to understand that. We have to change the stigma that has been branded on...
I agree with you, Mr. Hodge, that we have to change the stigma. But there's a term that you used, I think, that sometimes fosters and promotes that stigma. It is, you said, an alternative education. Why you refer to it as an alternative education? Because it fosters the mentality of the past. It's either education or it's not alternative. You see, the alternative education buys into the sort of a dichotomy between all these people who are very academic and these people who are, you know, technical and so on. The people who are academic are brighter than the ones who are... That is not necessarily so. I discovered something when I taught at the CFBC for a few years. Some of the students who were at Tech Voc, it's not because they were quote unquote not academic.
Yes.
Some of them had 9 subjects. Some of them had 10 subjects. But I tell you this is what I want to do.
Yes.
I want to do culinary arts. I want to do hospitality. I want to do office administration and management. I want to do architecture. One of them even told me I want to do timber. But this was somebody who had 9 subjects.
Yeah, I totally agree. They're probably the word of the wrong use of the word in there.
But I do understand what you're trying to get at.
Yeah.
But there's really nothing alternative about it.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and it affects the mentality of the students, because I used to teach, most of the things that I taught were in communication and English. And the students that were doing auto mechanics had a certain attitude towards the course. Where did attitude come from? Mr. Williams, I don't see why you come here teaching us English. What is all this thing you come here teaching me about grammar and all this kind of a thing? Writing letter and writing essay. What does that have to do with me? I'm doing auto mechanics. I'm going out there. I am going to be dirty in my hands and so on. I don't have to learn these things. And I used to say to them, suppose you have to write an accident report. Or suppose you have to write something happened on the job, an injury report. Or suppose you have to do something that have to do with doing an estimate and all of that. I say it is important indeed that you know these things.
Yes, and they might not see the benefit immediately when they're actually learning these things in a classroom. But some of them would go on to become owners of their own business, managers, and they would need to have some of these skills, these communication skills, both verbally and written. You know.
But it comes from that very same mindset that the brighter people go up to ASGS, Arts, Science and General Studies, and the duncer ones go down to the technical division.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of one being brighter or duncer than the other.
Yeah.
It's just a matter that people have different skills.
You know, and especially in the hospitality nowadays, when we go out, you know, to restaurants and hotels and so on, we look for a certain level of service, and we expect the workers to be able to communicate, using a certain level of language. I was recently at an institution, and I was impressed. I was very pleased with the quality of service and the way the waiters, the waitresses attended to you.
Yes.
The level of respect that came across in how they communicated with you. So that speaks very well of our people.
And that is extremely important.
Yes.
But it's very good that we are shifting away from that sort of a mentality.
Yes.
And I hear the ambassador say that, look, we are willing to facilitate, or we are now, this technical, vocational, and educational training, and to have people do this in Taiwan. I am sure, Ambassador, that Taiwan has been built on this. The technical, vocational, educational, so many people in agriculture.
Actually, in Taiwan, we also change. Before, every junior high school students, they have to take a national exam in order to go to the senior high schools. If their performance is very good, they go to the best one. So a lot of people actually they fail at the exams, so they go to vocational schools to study.
Yes.
And at the end, if you compare the two different students, actually vocational training student, after they graduated, they are making more money.
Yes. Yeah.
Because of they are using their skill, and they are making more money. So it's really difficult to say who will be better in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on they have to know themselves whether they are good at the skills or they are good at the academics.
Right.
So
and sometimes there's not even this dichotomy, because you do auto mechanics. Although you might say it is vocational training, it is still academic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why we don't. It is still academic. We keep saying academic and vocational as though they are two different things. Auto mechanic is an academic field because you both have to do theory, and you still have to do practical. And in fact, you can go on to even study it at the PhD level and to teach at a university. So we cannot divorce it and say it's not academic. It is academic.
And to strengthen that point, right now under that same TVET enhancement project, we are offering scholarships for persons to go abroad to get a degree or diploma or certificate in a TVET area. So it is academic.
Now you've mentioned, Mr. Hodge, something that is important. Because I think one of the things that was fueling this sort of a mindset is that you hear this person's academic, so they go away to a university, they come back, they're certified, they're a doctor, they have a piece of paper to say, well, look, I have a degree, I studied medicine, I studied engineering from this and this university. But before, what was happening in our society is that you had a lot of skilled people. They learn, many of them, through apprenticeship, being attached to somebody else. Some of them even went to the college up there and so on. But at the very same time, that importance of certification,
So that's
because if you never had certification, you were today you would be limited.
Right.
There's not many places you can go without certification.
So that's where we're heading with the NVQs and the CVQs. We're training a number of verifiers, and certifiers. So that is being pursued, But I would like to use this opportunity as well to encourage persons to come to the TVET Secretariat, which is housed at the Stanford building close to the airport, and have a conversation with Dr. Courtney Thompson. He is the Chief Executive Officer for TVET. Because we have scholarship opportunities for our young people to go. We have a number of them at UTEC in Jamaica. There are persons in Guyana. There are persons in Canada, studying some of these related subjects, to come back to teach them. One of the conditions for going is that you must come back to teach that TVET area.
Yes, so you're passing on what you would have learned.
Yes.
Now, I have to remind you that the lines are open and the numbers to call, the local number is 1-718-577-2916. That is 1-718-577-2916. And the local number 465-2555. Now, how can one apply for a Taiwan-funded scholarship, Ambassador?
Like I say, they have to see they are going for all English class or they want to learn Mandarin. All English class, there's a list of participating universities and departments. So I would suggest students, they can go to our website, our embassy's website, and they can find the list. And after they find a list, if they are interested in, for example, Department of Agriculture bachelor degree, National Pingtung University, and then they can send their application to let the school knows you are applying, and these are your information. So it's important they have to see the list.
Yes.
If they are interested in the all English class.
Okay. What is the website that they can go to apply?
Our embassy's website.
Your embassy's website, and the information is there. And what is that? Just Google Embassy of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Google, because I cannot remember.
Right, Embassy of St. Kitts and Nevis. And the information in terms of scholarship is provided on the website.
Yes.
Okay. Application dates and deadlines.
The deadline for ICDF is mid-March, which is about how many days? 15 days?
No, 16.
16 days away.
16 days away.
And,
for the ICDF.
And for
that's the one in English.
MOFA one is end of March.
Right. So for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
They have one more month.
Yes.
One more month to apply. So they can go to, you heard that you can go to the website of the Embassy of the Republic of Taiwan or Republic of China and Taiwan.
They can also go to our Facebook, and we have all the information there.
And the Facebook page as well. Good. Now, a question I meant to ask is, after the students would have studied in Taiwan, is there any sort of a back here in St. Kitts, like a student, as those who would have studied in Taiwan Association, or is there sort of a follow-up to find out how those students are doing and how they are contributing towards St. Kitts and Nevis?
We have established one association. It's called Taiwan Alumni Association, and I think so far we have members roughly about 100 members. So those students, after they graduate from Taiwan, they come back, they are welcome to join the association. And we have events once a while, and we can talk to them and see how we can improve our service in the future.
Okay. Because the whole idea of anybody getting a scholarship or anybody going to study is to come back and offer service. Of course, people normally think that education is about money. You're making a lot of money. But the most important thing is to offer a service. And so you have some people who probably have degrees and so on, and they will tell you, I am not doing this job. I prefer to sit down at home until I get the job that corresponds to my qualifications. But what they don't realize is that education is not just about financial advancement. It's about how you serve others and you serve your country, and how it helps you as an individual to develop as a person.
Yes.
That is why, you have some people, of course, they have a lot of education and so on, and you wonder really, what did the education do for them? Their behavior and so on is totally out of order. It is something that should really help you to be much saner than you were before.
Yeah, education is to help to make you a well-cultured person. When we talk about a well-cultured person, it is somebody who is educated.
Right. And in fact, in Spanish, they seem to have a very good grasp of it, because somebody who is rude and somebody who has no manners. You know what? Do you know what the term for that is? Una persona que no tiene educación.
Meaning?
A person that does not have education means that that person is not cultured.
Sure.
That person has no manners. That is the word for it. No tiene educación.
Yeah.
So, you know, it fits more even into that language, what
Yes.
you just said. It is supposed to make you cultured and so on. Now, Ambassador, I'm going to come back at you again. And, you know, we don't seem to know a lot about Taiwan here. And there's always that cultural exchange. Our students have gone there. And I know that Ambassador Huggins have oftentimes sent back press releases and so on. Part of our culture have gone there in the steel pan and other things like the masquerade and all of that. So there's all this cultural exchange, but at the very same time, we yearn to know a little bit more about Taiwan. So what I want you to tell me is a little bit about Taiwan, its people, its culture, its history, its geography, its economy. And, you know, we are getting close to ending. So we can end on you telling us some of these things. And what are some of the names given to Taiwan? I know when I was there was some
Here for Mosa.
Ilha Formosa, because, you know, you had the
Portuguese.
Yes, Portuguese, because the Portuguese once inhabited there. And you had the indigenous people and so on. So could you tell us a little bit?
Actually, you know, ever since I arrived, our embassy is working on two things. First one is to set up our Facebook and Twitter, because I consider this is a very important tool, especially the...
We have a caller. Working for you, good afternoon.
That's right, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon.
You're working for all of Huawei in this country.
I
Yeah?
am well jammed out.
I'm Mr. Hodge and my good friend, the ambassador at Taiwan, representing St. Kitts, Mr. Lee.
Yes.
This is your friend from Port Zante by the restaurant, the Taiwan restaurant, your good Rasta friend.
Oh,
How are you?
Yeah, very nice.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
I see you down here having lunch and hearing all these offers Taiwan giving we country, and these young fellas, they're just making a mess of their own self. Come on, Mr. Hodge, what we could do with these young people? We have to try and change the mindset of the young people. These old people who dead gone to the great beyond, I sure they was around here, they were the balling. To see where we getting from these young people. Look how Taiwan is stretching the hand to this country. God bless Dr. Kennedy Simmons in 1983 when he raised diplomatic seal with these people. You know?
Yes. I mean, you have said it very well. We really got to do something to change the mindset.
Mr. Hodge, a question for you. Something is bothering me. In all the education, the facilities them around, the schools, we putting people to look after these institutions at night. The sporting club, and half of them is not working. And this government is not going to give them money, so you know.
I agree
We're
with
not
you.
going to give them money like that. And I'm warning you, Mr. Hodge, to get around and talk with the workers them and let them know they got to come and give this country 8 hours. Because we used to go on there before, you say not going to go on now.
I agree. We have
I'm
been
not
getting
going to worry up
reports.
no more. But let's cut. Let's right.
Yes, John.
Work. This thing is working for all of us.
Yes.
God bless Taiwan.
Thank you.
God bless Taiwan. Mr. Wang, my friend, have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, John Down.
Yeah, as I was saying, we have had some of reports of persons not working the night job, and some have been investigated. And we would address those matters as they come to hand.
You know, you can bring a horse to water. When I was growing up, but you cannot make that horse drink. And part of the problem that we have in the society, I think, is that of learning sacrifice. Because people want to make quick money. And people want to get where they want to get very quickly.
Yes.
And if there's not that element of working hard for it and sacrifice, then they're going to do all kinds of things to try to get there rapidly.
Right, to short circuit the process. Yeah.
They're going to short circuit the process, and in short circuiting the process, of course, they can get into things illegal, illicit stuff and all kind of thing. And because they never think of the consequence, they never think of the journey, they're only thinking of the arrival. Working for you, good afternoon.
Yes, working for it, working for all of you, as Jamnam just say 100%.
Yeah.
I made to understand for real, a lot of people go out in the night to work, they go, they just sleep and they go back home. We need to get a camera, we need to get up cameras that, we can monitor them, because I feel like some of them in for the government, so they just go peep and then go back in the morning about after 5 and 6. Pretend they was ready all the time, but when they were not. So we need to get this really on the hand, really in hand and
Yes.
so, because it's not right.
It's
The
not.
government
It's
be
not.
paying out this money and they ain't doing the work, working for you. And those people who gone away, when they come back in, they must have patience. They want a big car too much, and a big this and a big that. People work, look here, I used to work for $20 a week. Now today I could work for $100 a day.
Right.
Over, so they must behave themselves. But you see, they want things to quick. That's
Right.
make them going away like that in the grave, because they want things to quick. When I don't at my business place and they say, money small. I say money small. Well, you know how much I don't work, and I got to work from Monday to Saturday afternoon, and I did not ask my mistress at that. Oh, ready to go now. When I see 2 o'clock, they ain't gonna manage some of them, Mr. Lesroy.
Yeah.
When I wrote out right now, I wouldn't do him now to hire somebody, because when you took them, they don't behave for good first. And when after they just disrespecting you. So right now I'm trying to make out a kind of how I could.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
She has mentioned what we have been talking about all along, Mr. Hodge and Your Excellency. The whole point of work ethics. You want to get a full day's pay, but you don't want to do a full day's work.
Right.
You want to come on the job and you want to do as little as possible. You will never take initiative. You will never ask, what can I do? How can I help? Is there something for me to do? You just sit down and you chat, and it can't be right.
It can't be right.
And that is what she's saying. It is wrong.
Yeah.
And that is where it's because people have to have the idea that, look, there must be some sense of righteousness and some sense of ethics.
You want to come late and leave early.
You want to come late and you're the first person to pick up your bag in the afternoon.
Yes. And the guy on Observations on ZIZ on a Sunday afternoon, Chico, he addressed this some time ago. Some persons, they would want to take their lunch hour to go to do their personal business, and then when they get back on the job, they want to take another half an hour to say they're having their lunch, but they already took a lunch hour to do their personal business. So we have to be a more productive people. You got to produce on the job.
And that affects production.
Of course.
And I know that you mentioned, Your Excellency, about the whole thing of work ethics. And that is perhaps why some societies advance so much, because of the work ethics.
Yes.
Because if you have poor work ethics, then you are producing less.
Yes.
But if you know that, look, I am going to work hard, I am going to carry out my responsibility, I am not going to cheat, at the end of the day, what do you have? More productivity means the betterment for everybody. Isn't that so? Should man work and dog eat? Is that how it should work?
Not only that, I think young people, we need to help them to know what are their dreams. Otherwise, they can idle themselves doing nothing. If they know their dream, if they know what they want to pursue, they will go for it. If they want to open their own restaurant, and then that's their dream, and then they will go for it.
But you have to have that dream in the first place. Sometimes I wonder if we're still dreaming.
And they need the skills that's required. They cannot just like open a restaurant without knowing how to cook.
Yes, and that is where it comes in. Because if you have to study, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some discipline. It's going to take some hard work. You have to apply yourself. But if you don't have the mentality for these things, it's a problem. Working for you, good afternoon.
Well, I want me pay for working for you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Hodge, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Okay, man. I'm listening to your experience, guys. Now, I want to share some experience that I had in life. When I was living in St. Thomas in America, them lazy ones and the employees on the job, you know what they say? By Benji, when they're going to lay off, you're going to be the last man. I said, why? They said, by the way you're working, they're going to lay you off. I said, well, you could adapt the policy of me too. I ain't going to wait for no boss or no supervisor come tell me, go out there and do that. And tell him, well, there ain't me work. Me ain't carrying no work there. I go there where you go work and ask you to give me a job to work. And when I see anything need to be done, I ain't going to wait for nobody. I'm going to use my initiative and I'm going to do it. Even the toilet out there flush over, I going to clean it. I am going to do that. So that's where them lazy man used to watch me. And what I'm saying here is happening. Too many of us, those who born after me and some of them who born before me, lazy. Once they see they could go up on a job and fool around and waste time and do not work the hours that is required of you as an employee and get paid, they're going to do it every week.
Yes.
And
Right.
you need to stop.
Yes, that's
Because
right.
that is more than obvious. Even who sleeping could see.
Okay, thank you so much. We have to be wrapping up
Yeah,
our
okay.
program now. Ambassador, I really wanted you to start talking a little bit about Taiwan, its people, its culture, its history, its geography and economy. But that is going to take up an entire program.
You'll have to come
And
back.
we'll have to come back at some point
Sure.
and tell us about that. But we're out of time. But what the last caller was saying, let me give you an example. I used to work at the St. Kitts Brewery before I went away to study. And I used to work in the accounts department. I used to be the paymaster. And I used to deal with things like engineer spares requisition and raw material spares requisitions, the stock taking and all of that. And this is many years ago. Many years ago. And there has been little change in the mentality of our people. Guys working at the brewery used to feel that, look, stealing some beers or stealing some skull or coming to work and getting somebody to punch your card, you ain't at work, but your card punch. You ain't nowhere on the compound, but your card is punched. So when I go out onto the plant sometimes to look for people, they are not there. Where are they? But their card is punched. They went for lunch, but they ain't come back. They gone home, but somebody punched their card, so they come back. And one time I had a discussion with one of the workers, and this was the rationale for doing these things that he told me. He said, you know what? This is a big company, They don't make it. Me no make it yet. They don't make it. They're not even going to notice if I take 2 beers or 3 beers or 4 beers, because they're producing so many beers a week. So I can do that. That mentality has to change.
Yes.
So we'll wrap up. Ambassador, I'm going to give you some parting words, and P.S. Hodge, you as well.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I think our embassy, as I just mentioned, we have established our Facebook And all the clinicians and physicians, you are welcome to go to our Facebook and our website. And our embassy is always willing to communicate and to listen. That's why ever since I arrived, I have taken many times interviews already. So we welcome all the suggestions. If anybody have any suggestion, please contact our embassy.
Okay. Pierce Hodge.
It's a pleasure for me working with the Taiwanese embassy. This is my Ambassador Lee, is my second ambassador that I'm working with. I worked with Ambassador George Chu. Yes. In fact, I have an invitation to visit Taiwan while he's there, because we understand that you have 6 years out, and then you go back
to Taiwan for 3 years.
For 3 years,
yes.
And then you're redeployed out of the country. So before his 3 years is up in Taiwan, I'm supposed to go back to visit with him. We really appreciate all the support, all the help that we get from our Taiwanese brothers and sisters. We stand to benefit from our friendship with you, and we want to thank you sincerely. We hope that our people, our young people in particular, would take advantage of all of these training that is being offered. We hope that the public has been listening, so that when we launch the TVET courses, that they will jump to the opportunity, to apply for some of these courses. And we hope that those who want to go on to do degrees would apply. You have, in one case you have 16 days, another case you have a month to get your paperwork in. And remember, you come to the Ministry of Education and you ask for Mr. Roger Woodley, who will be able to assist you in processing and accessing the scholarships. The President herself, when she spoke with us, and the Minister of Education, they promised us more scholarships this year. So it's for our people to really grasp these opportunities.
Right.
I want to thank you very much, and I want to say that education has a lot of stuff that we have done since I was last year, and we need to come back for another program sometime soon.
Certainly, you are most welcome to do so. And Ambassador Lee, I think you've created history today. You're the first ambassador from Taiwan to appear on this program.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It's my honor.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. And Pierce Hodge, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
You have been listening to Working for You. Those of you who tuned into today's program and listened, and those of you who called in and offered your comments, we want to thank you very much. Next week, we will be back for another edition of Working for You. Until then, have a good time. I am Lesroy Williams.
Working for You. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Lesroy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for You is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for You.